This program and its contents are designed for information and educational purposes only. This program does not render medical advice or professional services and is not intended to be a substitute for professional care. The information provided here should not be used for the purposes of diagnosing or treating a medical or psychiatric condition. If you have or suspect you may have a health problem, consult your healthcare provider.
Hi, welcome to Positive Momentum TV. Today my guest again is Sue Jackson. Sue? Hey Mike, can you zoom in on Sue? She's texting over here. Hey Sue. Sue, all right. Come on, Sue. Anyway, this is Sue Jackson.
I'm texting on Positive Momentum at Positive Momentum TV
Okay, at gmail.com.
at gmail.com.
I
like that idea.
Cool.
So, incentive, it contains the word momentum.
Incentive, momentum.
You have to move with it if you're
Okay.
going to have incentive, don't you think?
Okay.
What was your incentive to start the show in the first place?
The incentive to start the show had everything to do with working through anxiety. And we've been doing this for a year now, and I had anxiety to the point where it was paralyzing. My world just became really closed off. And so one of the things is I started a fear flying support group. I learned to fly. So to help me work through my own fears, I figured knowledge was power and desensitization and all that fun stuff. So I started a support group, and then I heard about KPAO and came over here and was just going to do one show on the fear of flying. Well, a year later, we're still doing shows. So, and then it's evolving. It's not just about fear. It's basically the point of the show is supposed to be everyday people support, sharing our experiences to help others and inspire them. What happens, happens. I'm a go with the flow kind of person.
Well, when you and I have been working together for a while now.
Yep.
And when you talk about anxiety, that is just that word just doesn't encompass everything that it belongs with it.
Okay.
Because you can be a little anxious about something, but then you can go a step further. Like if you're anxious about cooking, let's just say, you can just not cook, I suppose. But then don't you pick up some kind of other garbage along the way?
Well, the more you avoid doing what it is that you don't want to do, the more the monster gets power, and then the more the shame cartel shows up. And there's a whole story behind this we'll explain later. I'm writing a book on this.
So if you were the shame cartel, we were using one word earlier, and I said, Diane, do you want to really be successful?
No, of course not, But then again, you do. And then they're going, but you don't have any, who in the heck do you think you are?
Right.
And you get all this talk, so you kind of withdraw. And the point of the show and the point we're trying to get across and the point we're trying to demonstrate by example is we got to kind of push through that no. Yes, no needs to be in your vocabulary, because otherwise you're going to be a doormat and people are going to get, you're not going to know how to say no. Like that movie, Yes Man, with Jim Carrey. He was taught, say yes to everything, say yes to everything. I understand the concept behind that was to open him up and put him into uncomfortable situations and realize, hey, I'm not going to die from these. But at the same time, you have to be able to say no, find a way.
If you say no to everything, and you were doing that earlier today.
Yes, I was.
That was interesting. And then you started being sarcastic.
Oh, yeah.
Which I said, go ahead, be sarcastic. I can go with that.
Right.
And no, I can't.
Well, and that's good to know. That's where no comes in really well. It's like, no, thanks, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, see, and that is a way of doing it without it feeling wrong.
Right, and I think that's where the key is to the whole thing, is finding that voice, finding how you feel. So I know for me, I grew up, and part of my early adulthood was will somebody please tell me how I feel because I don't know? Or I've been so used to somebody telling me how I feel, or handing me this pile of not so pleasant stuff saying, here, eat this. And when I don't like it, there's something wrong with me. But these people weren't eating it. And it took a very long time to be empowered enough to say, wait a minute, you're not eating it. Why is it okay for you not to like it, but not okay for me?
Well, and in different eras, don't you think that it becomes different? Like kids, my grandkids say no to the hand because
Yeah,
I
talk to the
can't remember-
hand. Face,
Yes, I can't remember the rest of it.
That's
but-
right, yeah.
And it's or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I got so that I just how do you respond to that? It's
Yeah.
hard, and it's their way of saying no.
Right.
And not getting a response, because what is the answer to whatever?
Yeah, but there's attitude attached to it, and it's how did you handle it? How did you deal with that when your grandkids did that?
Well, usually it involved asking a question.
Right,
And so I would ask the question again.
and?
Well, they'd have to think of something else to say, or they'd say whatever again. And then I would just walk away. So they had no answer to their question, or I
You didn't get a
got no answer
response.
from them.
So how did that make you feel?
Good.
Being able to walk away from it?
Yes.
Okay.
Took a long time to do
But
that.
but at first, okay, so let's go back just for a minute to when you asked them a question or requested them to do something or whatever it was, and you got the attitude or the hand, or whatever. How did that make you feel?
Pissed off. There are buttons. Everybody has buttons.
Right.
And mine is got to do with the principle of the thing.
Okay.
So usually the question would be, let's just say, well, you wanted to go to a movie tonight. What time do you want to leave? Whatever.
And I mean, something as simple as that, you get attitude, but at the same time, if we were sitting in a teenager's position, and that's what I would love to find out, is getting from the person who's being asked, their perspective. What did they hear?
Yes.
What did you hear? What did you feel when you were asked the question? What caused you, or what created this whatever response? What's going on there? I know what my side is. I didn't know what their side is, and I just know that, like you said, it caused a unpleasant response.
Yes.
And so you're basically, what do you do from there? Where do you
Well,
go from there?
I just shut it off, and then go someplace and start doing something. There's always something to do. And later on, they might come and say, well, we're going to the movies at 6:30. Why aren't you getting ready? I didn't know that.
So
Consequences to non-communication. This has to be.
well, and there has to be there's a saying I've heard, and now I've heard it a different way, so I'm going to state it both ways. One is, you make your choices, you don't get to choose your consequence. The other way I've heard it is, when you make your choices, you choose your consequence. So, and it depends, okay, you go through a red light, your consequence could be a speeding ticket, your consequence could be hitting someone, your consequence could be, it could be. So you are, but you're not choosing your action. So.
And that passive-aggressive attitude, there always were consequences.
Okay.
And I had to carry through that consequence. And almost always, my question was just a question. So I got to the point where I say, it's just a question. What time do you want to go to the movies? If you want to ride for me, I need to know what time that's going to be. And after they paid a few consequences, they believed me. It was just a question and an answer, and that's it. That's as simple as it gets. So I started getting some much better response.
So, okay, from my perspective, I'd like to know, when you're going through these kind of situations, how does it make you feel to have to sit there and quantify, saying, okay, this is just a question? And you have to immediately kind of turn things around, and instead of just, hey Sue, what time did you want to go to the movie tonight? And so say, I'm just asking a question. So you have to immediately be on the defense, and then you're on the offense, and then you're on the, it's got to be exhausting.
It is.
I remember raising kids, again, I would love to hear from teenagers' perspectives on what what's going on in their heads, or what is going on around them, or what's causing that kind of response. So then, we can understand, because, it's been so long since I've been a teenager, and things have changed.
Yes.
And I know they talk about the hormone, they talk about the peer, they talk about this, that, well, hell, I do that to my husband now. What the? And it's just a question. All right, sorry, I'm just, and maybe it is. Maybe I'm just in a bad place. And you were the right person to just push that right button and just,
Yes, and I think it's really hard to be in that position and be a teenager. They have a lot more information than we did at their age.
Oh, yes.
And so they're juggling all that around, and perhaps they're meeting somebody at the movie, and they just don't want to tell you that. But whereas if they were honest, it would turn out much better for them. But I think fear is at the base of that, because they're growing, and some of us carry that into adulthood, so that our fear becomes anxiety.
That's true. And one of the things I've noticed for me, and I will only speak for me, is I didn't have a voice. And even when I did have a voice, I wouldn't listen to it, because it was so busy. Okay, I got to make sure you're happy, and then I got to make sure he's happy, and then I got to make sure he's happy, and then I make sure that person's happy. And in the meantime, I'm making myself miserable, because when I make you happy, then he's pissed off. And then he's pissed off. Sorry, maybe I'm not supposed to use that word, but anyway, you can't, that's what they mean when they say you can't make everybody happy. And when I make me happy, oh my gosh, then I'm stirring the pot and I'm creating chaos and I'm doing whatever. But it's like, wait a minute, again, why is it okay for you to demand a request from me to behave a certain way, but not okay for you to behave or even understand, take my request? So it took a long time to say, wait a minute, I finally get what they mean when they say you can't make everybody happy. And I also get what they mean when the airlines say, put your own mask on first.
Yes.
And if you don't get the fact that I need to take care of me in order to help take care of you, it's not my problem, it's yours, right? Can you go elaborate on that?
I think it happens early in childhood. My way of coping was having an excellent memory. So what people said and did, I remembered. And later on down the line, I would use it against them.
And that could be why a lot of people have done that.
Remember when, they most of the time couldn't remember because it was insignificant to them, which made me feel insignificant.
Of course.
And so I do not take orders very well. If it's in the framework of an order, if somebody says, how about we go to the movies? What do you think about that? I can answer that and honestly say what I think. I can say, I don't feel like going. Now, if we get to the begging point where the other person is saying, oh, come on, you want to go to the movies. I know you want to go to the movies. It's like, no, what is it about no that you don't understand? No, no, no. It's...
Well, see, that's where we're different, because for me, I would do things just to appease the masses, or just to make life bearable, because otherwise my life would be, either passive-aggressive, where I wouldn't be talked to for days. And I'm not exaggerating, it'd be days. I've even had a spouse send me to my room. And I'm going, wait a minute. But I went. I'm like, whoa, something is wrong with these relationships. And what is the one common denominator? Me. So it's maybe taking these coping skills I had, because as a child you'd have no power whatsoever over your environment, and following that along to be still feeling powerless, and then but different people respond differently. You were very good at being able to say, I said no. And my husband's like that now too. If he'll just dig his heels in, and I'm kind of going, what the heck's wrong with you? Well, it's not the way I respond.
Well, and a lot of times people think that the person they're talking to should feel the same way they do.
Right.
And guess what? You don't. And you don't feel the same way I do. And, we were laughing before we started.
Right.
And I wanted to try and talk, but then we thought, well, we're going to sit up straight because it's good for our backs. And I thought we'd ask the people to email on how long it takes us to slouch, because
Right.
I'm already feeling like this.
Yeah, I've been,
That's about as long as I,
Yeah.
you know, that I can go. And then when I change positions, it's going to change my responses.
good point. Yes, it does.
It does.
Because it changes your whole feel, your vibes, your center. You were talking before about,
Yes.
trying to work on the core, and that's one of the reasons for sitting up straight. And, there's a reason behind it. Instead of grandma coming behind you, whack, sit up straight. You're going to go, what? Hey, stop it.
Just because they can.
But grandmas used to do that. I mean, if teachers would do it. I mean, ninja, from schools. Let's just leave it at that.
And so you end up with adults that have got this really good sense of humor inside of them that are afraid to show that, because what do you show and what don't you show?
Right. You can't show any of your softness, because then they're so afraid that they're going to be taken over, and
Yes.
they need to keep that power. And I'm like, really? And this is a good segment, because one of the guests that's coming on next week is a friend of mine who I am a firm believer she really is really good at being able to find a way to keep control and still show that she loves, and respects these people, and she's tiny, but mighty, and so we want her on to, so the how do we regain our power, or even capture our power and our personality even, and still show those around us, no, we're not going to accept this behavior, we're not going to accept this, or, this works out well. So you're doing
and
a great
I
job
came
too.
up with, I was driving to work and I find myself clinching the steering wheel. And I'm trying to pay attention to that. So then I relax it and I keep going, and I'm looking way down the road and noticing, why are the brake lights coming on? And I can see there's nothing in front of these cars. Okay, so I'm driving along and I thought, oh, I know how to cope with this. There's a traffic goddess, obviously, and she's not in a good mood today. And she says to these cars, stop for no reason. Okay, you could go, but you have to stop. Stop, stop, stop. When the brake lights are on down a mile, then you can go. So I was singing that all the way to work, and I never got frustrated with the traffic after that.
Well, and that's what imagination's for, and creativity,
Yes.
and just finding ways to cope. And this is perfect. Find a way to make yourself laugh about it. There's nothing you could do. And I used to get so upset about silliest things. But that's part of it was because I had no control over anything.
Right.
So I found ways like you're doing. It's just, but I go, why am I getting upset? I can't change the fact that my check didn't show up in the mail.
Right.
Being upset about it is not going to do anything
What you
but
going
make
to do about it?
Exactly.
Well, there probably are things you can do about it. You can be active, or you can just let it roll right off. You know what rolls downhill, and just
Yeah.
let it go.
But the problem is, the person behind you gets splattered. Even I've realized that the further down the hill you are, the further it splatters. And cleaning up can be
Depends on
quite-
how big it is.
Well, it usually gathers. Starts at the hills, a little snowball,
we
or
shouldn't
a little
go
ball.
there.
Oh, we can go places with that.
Oh dear. Well, humor is a really good way to work with it. If you can, I bought a book of jokes,
Okay.
and some of them were so bad that they were funny. And what is that movie? Planet X. The women from Planet X, and the guys are in their spaceship shaving with an electric razor. I just said, oh, no, don't analyze that, Sue. Just let it be. It's the movie. So, when you get to the point where to protect yourself, you have to analyze things. You think you have to
Right.
do. But after a while, you realize whatever is happening to you, you're doing it to yourself. Because if somebody says to you, come on, you want to see this movie, and you don't say no, shame on you.
Well, I want to just say that eliminate the shame on you, because there's enough shame that you're beating yourself up with. All I'm going to say is you are bringing it on yourself, because that's what they say you're calling it in. You're allowing other people to control and dictate what it is. And I'm really trying to work on that shame thing, and I apologize. It's just,
Well, the shame cartel is very important. For example, if you're a kid and, well, this happened to me. I had to wash the car, and it was very cold. It was probably November.
oh gosh.
And so I didn't do a good enough job, so I had to go back out there and do it again. And my hands were frozen. But, you know, I really paid attention to that. So anything I did, I wanted it to be a good job. Well, then I realized it's a good job to my father. I mean, I thought it was a good job. And the older I got, the less that shaming started working, and intimidation just goes right over my head, and I'll just keep going on with the conversation.
Okay.
And now, if somebody's being sarcastic, I get into it. I start laughing, and so
Okay.
it doesn't work very well.
Well, and that's
You
what
think?
Yeah, exactly. You know, you basically, somebody had said one time, you don't want to go through life with a catcher's mitt on both hands.
Right.
You want to take one of the catcher's mitts off so you can throw it back.
Yes.
And basically, what you're saying is it becomes a snowball fight.
Yes.
You know, and it starts out, you know, maybe light, maybe it starts out heavy. It's hard to say. But before it's over, everybody's laughing, and you know, it kind of diffuses it. And that's where humor is really a good thing with anxiety, or anytime you're feeling out of control.
Well,
know?
and are you going to talk about later about the 5 things or the?
Yeah, we're gonna
Okay.
do those kind of take a break sections where we're gonna demonstrate different techniques that we'll just insert throughout different shows or even whenever, on how to work through anxiety. There's 2 specific ones I have. Do you have anything? We can do a segment 2. You know, there'll be less than 5 minutes that we can show different ways to cope, different ways to enhance your life, make your life better, just different techniques. And we would love for you to send some in too.
Yes.
So send in any techniques that you use to either get through your anxiety. We would love step by step, or send in a video. So this way, and if you're interested, we can put it on, because we want to demonstrate how to do it. I get lost in the how to. Well, let something go. How do I let something go? Tell me how to let something go. How do I Mike, you want to tell me how to let it go? You know? So one of the things I've learned is I've kind of visualized it as, okay, I'm moving it over into this pen. So now I'll say whatever issue it is, I can drop it and let it go.
Good.
But that's one of the things I've learned how to do. So anything that works, whether it's, you know, breathing, any ideas you have? I mean,
Well, I had to learn self-hypnosis so that I could have a surgery that I couldn't have any anesthetic
Okay.
for. And I did. And it took a while, but I imagined myself in a stream, laying in a stream, and it was bubbling stream, but it was nice warm water. It wasn't
Oh.
cold water. It was very, very warm, and it was going all over me, and it was taking all of the junk away. All of the
Awesome.
bad thoughts, but you have to do it over and over. According to neurolinguistics, you have to do something 21 days straight before your brain registers it as
Okay.
a behavior.
Okay.
So just think about all that stuff that you must have done in a really long time.
We're
but
not gonna go there.
It works really well. And in neurolinguistics, you have a power that it belongs to just you, and you can get inside the power circle.
Okay.
And so you can imagine that, that power circle being around you, and you are in it, and you plug into the power circle.
Wow. All right. So if you don't mind, one of the things I would love for you to do is do do the brief demonstration of how you do this, you know, as step by step, and we can put that in either in a show or put it on the website, and people can get to see and go and find out how to do these things, because this is what this show's about to me, is helping other people.
Right, and you
inspiring
never
them.
know what will help.
Right.
Because everybody's different.
Well, and each situation is different. Just because today, okay, drinking water and breathing through my nose or whatever is going to help, that doesn't mean the next situation I may need something a little stronger. And I don't mean an alcoholic drink. I just mean, okay, maybe a visualization. Maybe I need to go for a walk. Maybe I need to do a grounding exercise. You know, I have to have a full toolbox. And that's one of the things we talked about originally, was having a big toolbox sitting here and putting different things in it.
Yes.
Heck, you never know. So it's just, So any last minute thoughts before we wrap up this session? And
Oh, I think getting a talisman, they have all kinds of things. Maybe I'll bring some another
Okay.
time, but angels that you can put in your pocket and you can rub
Okay.
the angel. It's in plastic. I have one that I wear around my neck that has bells
Okay.
that ring. And every time I hear that, I know that I'm in the moment. I'm right here, right now. I'm alive. I'm happy and be here. And if I'm not happy, I just ring those little bells and, oh, yeah, I'm good, I'm good.
Well, I've made my granddaughter a worry doll.
Oh, good.
And so this way she put it in like her backpack and she would send the worries to this doll. And like a tree, and this is where we have examples, is that the doll would take in all these energies and turn around and release it to the earth and send it off to the universe. With that, we need to wrap this session, and thank you very much for watching. I hope you contact us. We'll put the email address out. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.